When you talk about oil changes, you're talking really about customer acquisition. To do an oil change at $9.95 or even $4.95 or $12.95, you're losing a little money on what it costs you, but you're getting an introduction to the customer.
I know we've talked to service managers, and this is not a ditch on service managers at all, but they're like, I want to make money, I don't want to be losing money. So I don't think their thought process is in line of what we're trying to do. Because I mean, what's amazing that their people are sitting online doing oil change coupon. They're searching
Yes.
for coupons. I mean, we're a coupon-driven community. I mean, granted, we've got a lot of people probably watching this video that I've never used a coupon, but that's you.
Right.
There's so many other people.
Yeah, and we did do a lot of SEM on oil change coupons, and with your people, they have to understand that people are online shopping and they are typing in lowest priced oil change, and if you're there, then you're going to have an opportunity to get that introduction, like I talked about. If you're not, they'll go somewhere else. So, to think that they'll come in for $38.95. But they're the
Or
type
$5 off.
Or $5 off. They're actually online typing in Google or what have you, best oil change. That is the person that you're trying to go after, because that's most of the market nowadays.
So you got your loyal customer,
got
the
your-
one that's going to pay the $39.95 for an oil change, and we're not saying give up that money.
Right.
So we're saying going after those people that maybe don't consider you, because let's say in your market you've got 5% of the market, 2% of the market, whatever it is. If you're a Honda dealer, Toyota dealer, whatever it might be, let's bring those other people in.
Absolutely.
Let's get those individuals in.
And what happened for us, Paul, is when we started really doing a lot of marketing and doing a lot of coupons on oil changes, then through our training of our people on our process, our sales per RO went actually up.
Mm-hmm.
So even though almost, a lot of the customer had a coupon to come in with their oil change, we were able to, through our process, give them more services to actually be more profitable.
Yeah, it was pretty recent too. There's a dealer, it's in Chicago, and bless his heart. That's a Southern saying, by the way. When
It is.
Yeah, bless their heart when you just want to say, I'm going to baby shake you now because you're not listening to me. But I talked about the same strategy, the strategy that you and I have been doing for a few years, and said, this is what I want you to do. And I want you to tell me, I want you to tell him what he needs to do on this part. But I said, this is the process you need to do. Let's do this discounted oil change. Let's do discounted brake jobs. I mean, because it's just not oil changes. There's all these other services. There's dozens and dozens of services. And let's get them into the service line. I mean, it's not brain surgery. Let's upsell them. And he said, well, I don't have the team that can upsell. And I'm like, I wanted to say, okay, but, well, I did say okay. But what do you got to say to that? When they tell me that, I don't have the team to do it.
Well, two things about the oil change. Go back a little bit about the oil change, the coupon. What we did and what you did for us is created a landing page. So it wasn't they just couldn't print off a coupon and come in.
Mm-hmm.
You had to go to a specific landing page.
Now you're giving away our secrets.
No,
that's okay. No, really, seriously.
Put in their information, and then we captured the email address.
Right.
So then when we did our monthly email blasts, or we had the information to include them in our marketing. But back to the training.
Well, I want to add one thing in
Okay.
that too, because it's not like it was on our service page. Here's your $9.95. I mean, we would do that occasionally, of course. We would watch traffic. We'd look at the heat mapping and the eye tracking of the website, watch traffic, and this is the day we had the most service and all that good stuff. But we were doing that to get people that that were searching for that was not necessarily a loyal customer, somebody brand new. So I mean, keep that in mind too on that.
Well, back to the training part. You're talking about training your people on how to handle the customer and making sure there's consistency. So when you're doing oil change coupons, when you're doing a couple $100 off a timing belt, when you're being real aggressive in the market, and you want to make sure your people are trained to.
Well, I think training right there, what you're saying, I'm sorry to cut you off on
Yeah.
that. Don't slap me for that. And that's where I was talking to this dealer, and I said, what about the training? And, and I don't mean this negative. By all means, I don't mean this negative. But it was like he had the mentality that I just can't go there. I can't do the training. I don't know. I don't know the process. And I think what it is sometimes as business owners, if we don't know exactly the answer, we're scared to ask for help.
Right.
And he didn't want to do training. Instead, his answer was, let's run some more TV advertising and try to sell trucks. And I'm like, okay, but and let's try to sell our trucks cheaper than anybody else and have a lower price and give up gross. And I'm like, okay, well, you're talking about here at the end of the funnel, and I'm talking about up here at the upper part of the funnel, so you can get people into the service lane, make more gross, get more opportunities, be more profitable, negative 65 cars and be profitable. So what about training? I mean, did you do a lot of training?
We did a lot of training. You know, you always have a disparity between one advisor and the other. Somebody might be running $400 a ticket, and someone else might be running $100 a ticket. So how do you gain that consistency? Well, you have to do it through training. So if you have somebody that, you know, is a leader on your service drive, maybe entice them to do some training, because before you go out and get additional customers like you're talking about, maybe just do some more advertising and that, make sure you're taking care of the customers you have currently.
Yeah.
Get a hold on that and then expand when you're ready to handle that sort of business.
Yeah, and I think the training, so you were doing the training. You set up all the processes, set up all the training, but you know, a lot of times we'll go in with a good effort and want to do some training, want to do some processes, and we teach the people. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm out of that. You want to talk about your training? I mean, how often were you training, and you know, how'd you keep the momentum going? Because I mean, this has been 3 years.
Yeah.
That it's just been growing, and we haven't hiccups.
And we did continuous training. We added technology to help us track everything, all the metrics on who was selling what.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool, though. I mean, looking at those reports where we talk about those repair reports, that, you know, this person is falling down on brake jobs. He's not. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, if if someone's not recommending or not selling a certain percentage of brakes compared to what's recommended, then we would train on that. We would see who was doing what we would call a world-class job on it, and then we would get the two together along with myself, and we would talk about, what are you saying to the customer against what this advisor's saying, and then we would try to come up to make sure that we could technically clone the advisor that was really getting the job done.
Yes.
And we would continue to do that. We would watch it every day, and anywhere that we were falling back, we would train on it. And certain performance metrics, if we weren't receiving them, then we would have the service advisor come in early in the morning and sit down with another advisor that had good metrics, and myself, and we would train and get until we could get them up to speed.
So I love this. So there's 2 words I want you guys to write down. Are you ready? I want you to write down process. So you had process.
Yes.
Process to make sure that you weren't being lazy, that people were giving you the reports and you were pulling reports up. So you had that process to make sure you were holding people accountable, so accountability. So make it 3 words now. So we got process, accountability, and we're going to talk about that. And then the next one is clarity. So everybody knew they had clarity on what their job was, what they needed to do, their job role, their responsibilities. What do I have to do? And then you gave the clarity. If you're not doing brake jobs, well, we're going to give you clarity of how to do the word track, how to do it, how to make sure you're doing it. But let's go into accountability. So how'd you hold, or how do you hold your team accountable?
Well, what we did is, like I said, we introduced technology.
Okay.
And we could really track everything. We could see performance metrics on every advisor, every service technician. And we would look at the averages. We would look at what the top 10% in our dealer group was doing, and we would set goals, and we would keep people accountable by trying to meet those goals, give them objectives, and then based on how they performed, we would train to get them there.
One of the things I want to talk about is management style, because I love your management style. And I've worked for people that would just club you over the head and go, do this. But let's talk about a little bit about management style and what you've seen, because I mean, people are different and understanding that management style. So how did you hold? We got the accountability, but what's your management style on that?
Yeah, a lot what we did is we set expectations, but we also managed them. We made sure that we were communicating to our team what needed to be done and how we needed to get from A to B. You
didn't browbeat them.
We didn't say, hey, this is what we want done, and then left them alone.
Right.
We said, this is what we want to get to based on what we see as a world-class dealership, and we want to train to that. So we let them know that we were part of the process with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was amazing because, I mean, I've spent an amount of time with Don, and I would hear him say things like, how can I help you? What can I do to help you? And I was like, that's a little weird, a little creepy, you know, and not really, that's awesome. So we've talked a lot about service, but what I want to talk about now is parts. I mean, a healthy service department is a healthy sales department.
Right.
A lot of opportunities, a lot of, you know, and if you guys got questions, I mean, Don and I are talking all the time, by all means, post the questions below this video, and we'll answer those questions. So tell us what you're thinking and whatever we didn't cover, because we don't want to do a 2-hour video for you. But let's talk about parts, because I think parts is a huge opportunity. There was a recent article that came out, and it was a trend, and it showed that people buying clothes online is the #1 purchase online. And I thought this was amazing, because parts and accessories has grown at an average of $7 million a year. And they're showing around a $9 million growth this year and $15 million growth the following year. And so there's great opportunity for parts and accessories. So tell me some things you've done with parts and accessories. Because, I mean, parts, you became, again, the #1 out of 86 stores in this group. And again, I'm not talking about, you're not in New York City or Chicago, Illinois, or Miami. I mean, you're in a second-tier market to do that.
Right, and what I would say is when you focus on training and you focus on the service drive, you know, obviously parts will follow right behind. You know, if you take the number of ROs you're doing, if it's, you know, 500 a month, if it's 1,000 a month, 2,000, 4,000 a month, you know, multiply that by $100 an RO, and, you know, see what that can really do to your business.
Right, yeah. And you had some really, I mean, well, you have some great strategies and parts and how to grow that by these incremental changes. And, you know, and I'm kind of giving it away here, but just one little piece. There's so much more to it. I mean, it's taken years. I mean, you've been at the same company for 17 years. But instead of increasing it a little bit, increase it. Just boom, hit it, let's go.
Right. You want to make sure you're competitive within the market, but
Right.
when you have to make any sort of change, you know, make sure that you do your research and you know exactly the plan you want to do before you roll it out to your team, because it's best to do it one time and get the buy-in and then continue on.
I like what you said. Instead of getting brain damage, you know, oh, let's raise it, and let's get brain damage 6 times this year. No, let's not
Right.
do that. So some outstanding numbers. I mean, imagine it. #6 in the country out of over 1,000 Honda dealers. And again, not a major market. Imagine having 637% of your fixed coverage. I mean, great numbers. I mean, so if you guys have got questions, again, Don's he's gonna answer some questions. So I want you to post it on the video. The phone number's on the screen, because you know, Don said, you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to help dealers out there. Why not? I mean, great. So Don's available. If you've got questions, call the phone number on the screen, and he can help you. He can go through this stuff.
Absolutely.
But you know, I think it's amazing how people are not focusing on the back end of the store, the 2 showrooms. They're focusing on the front. And you fix the back, the front will explode. So use the phone number. Don, thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank
we
you.
should do like a little group hug here.
Sure.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
See you next week.